Hello, my name's Mark. Welcome back for another video. In this video I make this box using epoxy and gold powder to try and create this brass effect on this box. Okay, to start off with, I've cut the wood out for the top and the bottom. I didn't bother filming it because watching a bloke cut a load of wood up is fairly boring. So I've never tried this epoxy and gold powder thing to make the sort of brass inlay. So I've made the top and the bottom identical on the principle that basically I've got two goes at the top, so if one's not perfect I can always use it on the bottom. So I'll glue all this up and then I'm going to run the saw to basically remove one of these. So I'll have a slot then to pour the epoxy and gold powder in. It's out the clamps now. I've cleaned it all up. So the plan now is I've glued those three pieces there. So I'm going to cut that middle one. I'm going to cut a saw. We push it out of the table saw to put a saw cut down there, which is where the gold epoxy is going to go to create the sort of fake brass inlay. So I'll cut it out, then I'll show you what I mean. I've just done a couple of saw cuts, which is where the epoxy is going to go. Super glued a couple of bits on the end just to allow, just to stop the epoxy pouring out the ends. They can just be cut off afterwards. So I'll just set it up ready for the epoxy now. So I've got it all ready to go. I'll put some tape on there. Just put some cork on top of the tape. I don't want to put the cork on the wood because I'm going to be trying to clean it out, it'd be a pain. So obviously if it gets too full and sort of spills over, hopefully that will contain it within that sort of area. So I don't want it going everywhere. That's what I'm going to be using. Gold powder. It says it's pure gold. Got a funny feeling it might not be though. It was only £5 on Amazon. So I'm going to mix this up with some epoxy, and hopefully when it dries it will look like two brass inlays down the lid. So that's what it's mixed up like. It looks a sort of brassy colour, maybe a little bit yellow, I don't know. Pour it in, see what happens. Poured it in there. It's not that easy. It's a bit like trying to pour treacle really. So it's in there anyway. I've overfilled it so I can rub it down. I'll just give it a flick with a hot air gun now, just to try and knock any bubbles out. I think that's what it's supposed to do. Let it dry, see what happens. I've given that epoxy a couple of days. It's dry now, so I'm going to clean off all that sealant and the tape and that, sand it off and see what I'm left with, see how well it's worked. I've sanded it off smooth. It's come up to too bad. There's not many air. A bit worried about it. Air holes apparently it's a problem, but I seem to have got any. You can't really see it because it's almost the same colour as the wood, but I just wetted it a little bit, and it does bring out sort of the brassy gold colour. So hopefully when it's got some finish on it, it should pull it out. As the top sort of is worked okay, I thought on the sides I'd go for like a series of circles. And if I put it into the ready rosewood, the goldy bronze should stand out a lot more. So what I've done, I've just done a test piece, just like that. And all I've done is just use a hole saw, but without the centre drill bit. And I'll show you what I've set up. Okay, so I've taken out obviously the drill out of the hole saw. We don't want a hole in the middle. Set a fence up on the drill press. So I don't know if you can see that pencil line there. It's the centre of the hole saw. So then I've got a series of lines marked across here. So if I line, that's the centre of me. That's the centre of my hole. So just keep lining them up and keep shunting them across. And then I'm going to cut it in half to make the two pieces of the box. But I'll drill a couple and show you what I'm doing. So that's making like the interlocking hold effect. So I'll just keep drilling the rest. I'll just take it really steady because I don't want to tear. I mean, a hole saw is not the cleanest cut, so I don't want to tear, too much off my face. But I go, well, not too deep, but so I can still sand a little bit off the face. So I'll drill all these out, and then we'll go from there. So I've got the holes drilled. So in each one of these you've got a side and an end. So I'm going to glue these two pieces on now just to give it a bit of contrast. I left them a bit high so when I pour the epoxy it can't run off the edge, because there's not really room to get any sealing and tape on these ones. I thought I might as well pour the epoxy in while the glue's drying in the clamps. Kill two birds with one stone. Like what I found is, this is the first time I've done it, so it might be completely wrong, but I found when I was doing the other lot, if you use a heat gun, because it's like sort of toffee when it's all mixed up with that gold powder, you can, I think it helps get rid of the air bubble, and then you can move it around just on a low heat. I don't know if you can see, you can sort of push it around to where you want it. And you can see the air bubbles pop as you heat it up as well, which I think you need to get, it's the air that creates the problems if you get air bubbles in it. But if anyone knows better, stick it in the comments, because I'm no expert. So these haven't come up to too bad. I've sanded off all the excess off the top. Don't know whether, quite pleased where they've come out actually, especially for a first attempt. So got all the bits now. Spent ages making the bits, so I've just got to get these together into a box without cutting anything wrong, so I don't have to make anything again because it's taken so long. So I saw that out and decided just to go for miters on the corners. I'll just cut them out old mitre saw, to sort of go old school, nice and slowly, take my time. I'll glue it up now. I think I might go for some sort of decorative splines in the miters. I haven't completely decided how I'm going to do that yet, but I'll get it all glued up and then give me some thinking time. So it's at the clamps now. It's not too bad. I've decided against the splines because I think it just looked, I'll overdo the fanciness. I'm just going to glue the base on there like that. So I want the base and the top to be identical. So I'll just glue that on and then we'll start working on the top. Okay, so I've got the bottom glued up. Gonna clean that up. It's all coming together now. So next thing is obviously to get the lid on. So I made up a little ply template. I'm going to make a couple of wooden hinges. So I'm going to cut 4 of those out that, just glued that strip up out of some scraps. So I'm going to sort of do it with like a bit like a finger joint with a pin through, just a really simple wooden hinge. So I'll start cutting them out and show you what I mean. I've cut the joint for the hinge. So literally just going to drop a dowel through there. Obviously these need to be rounded off, and then obviously it can be cut into the shape of the hinge. But the trickiest bit of the whole hinge really is to get that hole like dead centre through the middle of there. So if it goes off at an angle, the hinge won't work squarely. So what I thought I'd do is to drill the hole before I mess around spending ages shaping up the hinge. So if it doesn't work, I can always make another one. So what I'm going to do is clamp this in. This clamp, just put this whole bit of wood in there wide. It's the right size to get the. So I'm going to clamp all that clamp that all up in there, and drill through. Hopefully it'll work. It sort of worked actually. It's gone through pretty. You can see it. Yeah, it sort of worked. It's gone through pretty central. So I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, but it's pretty central. So should better get a dowel through there. I'll get this all rounded up and cleaned up now. Okay, so I've got that hinge to work now. You just have to round off like a little bit. You see, otherwise it will touch when it's like that. But you need to round more of the bottom than the top, if that makes sort of sense. Just to allow it to spin like that. I've got these hinges done now. So what I'm going to do now is glue these on, and this rod will just slide in and out, but that'll allow me then to get the thing to bits, you know, like for a final, to finally give the lid a trim and just give it the final sand before I put the pins in for the hinges. Glue's dry now, so the hinges work okay. So I'm going to pull that bar out, give it a really good sand up, and then I can glue the pins in for the hinges. And then it's just a final finish, which I'm quite looking forward to see what this goldy brass colour comes up like with a bit of finish on it. I've sanded it all up. I've cut a couple of those bits of that bit of metal rod down, just put them in for the hinges, and then if you get it so you can see it, I've just put a little metal bit of that ebony sort of plug in the end, just because you don't want to see the metal sticking out. So I'll give it a coat of finish now and see what all this bronzy gold comes up like. There it's all finished. Reasonably pleased how it's turned out. I mean, really the whole point of making the box was just to practice with this sort of, well, fake brass inlay. I don't know. I mean, I'm quite pleased with the circles. I mean, I'll leave it to decide whether they think it looks like brass or not. But yeah, I'm reasonably pleased. I mean, obviously, now I've experimented a bit. Obviously, you could take it awful lot further, get a much more, you know, a much better, you know, more involved pattern. I'm not sure to do the wooden hinges again. I'm undecided about them, but yeah, overall I'm quite pleased. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching.